There we go. And we are live. Super excited today. So I have an old school black belt. Those guys that know that I've been around for a long time. And if you are a black belt of mine, you got numbers. And this is number, we've looked up your number. You're not in the 90s. You're in the 60s, bud. You're number
Oh, I flipped
63.
it.
Yes.
63.
You're not
Oh,
93.
man.
You're 63, which is even, um, which is even, I mean, to be in the top 100 is already one thing, but to be in the 60s is quite something. We'll talk about that in a minute. But so I'm super excited. I want to just introduce you a little bit because I've known you since you were a kid when your dad brought you, and I was reading through your your bio too, and remembering that you were born, I think, in Argentina, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and then you got to come here to the United States. You kind of settled here in Chatsworth. That's how we got to know it. And then you had this love for music, and I kind of remember that when you were training, and you got a full ride scholarship all the way to Hawaii. With that, we'll speak a little bit more on that. And then today you're in the film industry, and now you're trying to kind of launch something of your own project, which is pretty awesome in itself. So, with no further ado, this is Lisandro. Hello.
Hello.
Right. And your dad, just so before we get started, man, I remember your dad so much. Your dad was such a, he loved coming and watching you do when you were young, doing martial arts. He talked to me all the time. So it was fun. I kind of miss your dad. I think I've seen him once or twice on the parade route in Chatsworth.
Sure.
Right. And, he always kind of goes out to me, and I make sure when I see him, I run over to him and say hi. So, well, let's talk about that first. Now, number 63, because I'm close to the 700s now as far as black belts go, and you were number 63, right? And so it's now. Did you start with me on Lassen and DeSoto, or did you start with me when I was on the corner here on Canoga and Devonshire?
I was at Lassen, next to Pizza Hut and the donut.
Right. So that's you started in the original studio. You know what's funny about that is that's up again for lease, and there was a 99-cent store there for a while. And if you go in that 99-cent store, you would have a sense of what you walked into, because they never changed the tile. They never changed the paint on the wall. It still had that red stripe going across. And I'm like, wow, it's just like stepping back in time every time I walked in that place. And, that since the pandemic, that 99-cent store is closed. But, yeah, that's where you started. So what do you remember about those days? I mean, you had me when I was pretty hardcore, man. I was a hardcore instructor back then.
I don't remember it being. I don't have anything to compare it to as far as like the strictness of it. So it was a great time. Like we learned a lot more than karate too. Like the discipline, the self-discipline, the training, the practicing. All you take that with you in any part of your life. So that's with me. And then you did like a bunch of other additional components that I'm sure a bunch of other people don't do, which really tied back to school and doing good in school and supporting your parents. And so there was like a real built-in family first dynamic structure, along with the training and the being strong and the being able to protect yourself. And trying to never use it,
Yeah. That's, I look back on those days and I mean, you're in my top 100, which is pretty awesome, because I've gone through these stages of generations, and believe it or not, going through different generations of parents even, and being able to watch them, the difference in parenting from then to parenting to now, it's a lot of the same and a lot of different. It's just kind of weird. So it's always good to get back and talk to black belts that are now off in life, grown men. Are you married yet or not? No.
Single, so, trying to figure out my career still, like Hollywood land. It makes it hard.
Yes. Well, that's right. So you have this love for music. Let's talk about that real quick on what that looked like for you. I mean, what was your 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 musical instrument of choice? What is it about music that intrigued you the most, and how did that get you a full ride scholarship?
I think music was always like a thing in my house. My dad had perfect pitch, so he'd always pick up the guitar and like play whatever he just heard. And it was like so simple to him, and it was like so magical to me that he could just like do that. And so that was something that was always in our house. And then middle school, I started beginning instruments on the clarinet, and I was like a heavy set guy. So the teacher was like, "Hey, we need a tuba player. Do you want to go to Disney World?" And I was like, I can learn the tuba. I love Disney World. So learned the tuba like within a couple months, just basically learned the pieces for this performance competition thing. And then kind of stayed in the realm of tuba after that, and went to middle school. My teacher was really hardcore too, discipline wise. So I think maybe that's why I didn't correlate karate being too disciplined, but it was
Right.
very disciplined. Because music kind of carries that same thing too. It's very specific. If it's wrong, it's wrong. You know, there's no gray space in music just as much as there's karate doing it right or wrong. Um, so that kind of carried over, and middle school went to a performing arts high school just for music. Liked it that much. Was practicing like a lot. Was like it was really competing with karate time because like middle school was like so many activities. Um, was practicing like 2 hours a day just to be the best at whatever I was doing. So if it was the tuba, I was going to be the best at it. And then performed in high school at a competition in Hawaii. Got seen by one of the judges, was one of the teachers at the university. Got asked to stay after. Talked with him a little bit. He was like, "This is what you need to kind of get a scholarship situation at this school." I was already having a music scholarship situation somewhere else, and kind of Hawaii won, of course, over the other
Mhm.
school. So just prepared all the materials that they needed, went to a recording studio, laid it all down on my tuba professionally, and then got offered the full ride over in Hawaii and couldn't turn that down.
So that is so what was it like being in school in Hawaii? How'd you like it?
I have, I can almost say there's no regrets. The hardest part was having like beautiful, beautiful weather and going like, I have to go sit in a lecture hall with 200 people right now, underground or wherever it was, these like weird buildings. So a lot of the time it was like, oh, Math 100, we're going to go to the beach today. But I did succeed in the subjects that I was interested in. And kind of in college was when I kind of burnt out a little bit on music because I was doing so much of it. My scholarship was like a lot of involvement in different bands and pep bands, and it was first time in college, so like my activities were like to the max. First time alone out of state without parents. There was a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah. Well, that is definitely that's definitely something when you're off on your own. I mean, you're on your own, and then you're in Hawaii on top of it. So, uh,
It was great to be away, but it was also, like first time away,
mhm.
no rules.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's when self-discipline either you're gonna take your lessons or you're gonna take your lickings. One of the two is gonna take place. That's for sure. I tell everybody that. You either take the lessons you've learned with you, or you're gonna take your lickings of life. So, and you're gonna get a little bit of both as you find your way into what that looks like. So, but that's good. I've been watching you now on Facebook for a while. I know that you have um, it's obvious that you get a black belt because of you know you got to have some kind of discipline, self-discipline to get through black belt testing, especially through me back in those days. But uh, then you have uh, this discipline with music, I mean, which is another discipline in itself. And then this has landed you now into Hollywood, which is not an easy venture. And so I've been watching you for a while, and I know that you've got some projects on hand that you're wanting to do, and that's why I wanted to have you on and see what what you're doing in life, because I kind of follow. I've got quite a few of my black belts I get to watch and watch you guys grow up and then become your own person and watch what you guys do for in life. So let's talk about first of all, let's talk about how you got into because it says on your resume how you've done some assisting productions, and what does that look like in the lineup of Hollywood? So people that are listening to us can understand. So what did you do and how did you get to that part? And then we'll talk about your
So
projects.
I started from the bottom. I when I came back from college, I came back because my mom was sick. She's totally good now. And left grad school, had started grad school. My mom got sick, came back just to be a part of helping and around. And that kind of brought me to like, what do I do? What do I do as a job? Do I go back to school here? So I just started helping out my friends. She's a creative director for a magazine, and she was like, "You are not doing anything. Get out of your house. Come sit on my set, help out." So I was helping out with like, bring me this, hand me this. I didn't know what anything was called, so it was just like pointing at things and fetching things and coffees and stuff like that. And then the next day it was like they gave me a little bit more responsibilities, and it was like, now you're in charge of the fan. Make sure people, if they look like they're hot, point the fan at them. It's like a tiny space and too many lights, and like really the bottom of the indie space, like everyone's in it, we're sweating, we're creating, and kind of like that. And my friend was like, try to do this in film, because it was photography at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It's a longer day, it's more weeks, it's not just one couple days of shooting. So kind of went on Craigslist, found a student film, applied, they loved me for my free work, and kind of started from there, and kind of just grew from this little short film and meeting people, and kind of every next project was a little step to the side or a little step forward. So it was just make friends with everybody. We don't know who's going to blow up tomorrow. We don't know whose project is going to get greenlit tomorrow. We're all trying to do something bigger than ourselves in this industry. So it's just like started with little films, then got onto Dark Knight Rises, the Batman movie, as a PA still, the very bottom tier. We're fetching stuff. We're not a union. We're stopping people in the sidewalks when a car chase is happening behind us. Like very minimal responsibilities still, but on a big, big movie. And that kind of lent me to find somebody thought I was funny or friendly. Michelle Roca is her name. I know who it is. She tapped me on the shoulder on the last day. We're getting back to crew parking in the van, and she said, "Can I get your number?" I wasn't a part of her group or anything. She just was like, "You seem cool, calm, collective, and not crazy, and we need some people on my show. Give me your phone number." And ever since then, I've been in TV. Michelle Roca, she did it.
It's
But
always one person, right? That
it's just like that tiny little. There's so many like walls between things, and like one person like reaching over and pulling you in is literally all you need, and then you have to just prove yourself after that, sink or swim after that for sure. But you do need that like ally in the door a lot. It's kind of like the double-edged sword of this industry is you need somebody to help you in, and then after that it's you. Like it's up to you to lose your job. You don't
right.
get fired. You don't get fired in this industry rarely. You just get not invited back. You don't see your name
That's
on the call sheet for the next day. Nobody says anything. Nobody told you did a bad job. They just go, we'll find somebody that can do it better with a better attitude or whatever the problem was,
Yeah, that's what I hear about when it comes to Hollywood. That you need that step in, and then it's up to you. And I mean, and it's feast or famine, right?
It's for a long time, it's famine. It's
uh
hard. You don't want to just say yes to everything, but you kind of do at the beginning because you're scared. You're like, who could I meet on this set? Who could you know, and it's a lot of dreaming, and it's a lot of, you make this movie in your head that's like, I'm going to go work on this small film, and that director's going to blow up and take us all to his next thing. And it happens. And it happened to me on a very small, tiny scale, where you do grow with people. You don't necessarily jump straight up. You're growing with your peers. So whoever you're making movies with, one person goes up and then goes, "Oh, you want to come with me?" You know, like, this industry is all about who you like to hang out with for 18 hours a day. If you can't be around somebody for that long and not want to hate them, or not need to, you know, scream or rip your hair out, then that person can't be your buddy in this job. We just spend so much time with each other. There's like almost not a resume necessary. The word of mouth carries more weight, definitely, in this industry. So it's like, I'd say, Mr. Cox, who's available that you know, versus like putting a post up and getting resumes and going through resumes. It's, who do you like? All my people are working. You seem to have a good head on your shoulders. You like good people, you know. And then if you have somebody who's been good worker for you, you'll bring them on easy. If not, then you might have that story where it's like, I'm trying to help somebody else get in, and
Mm-hmm.
they might be a little bit green, and they might need to be a little bit hand holding. But you know, that's still that, like, we're always trying to help each other get the best person we can in that slot, because we are all working with that same person. One department suffering means all departments are suffering. So we it really is just a big machine. Like, any one thing can just take your good day to suffering so fast.
Yeah. Well, I think that's that's a testament, right? You know, it takes perseverance to stick through things and to do what you're going to do. So, you know, you talk. One thing I saw. Okay, what's the thing that you worked on about something with Santa, dog saving Christmas or
Okay.
something? What's that one? 'Cause, you know,
That's
I'm a
called,
Christmas freak, so it says before it says you worked on some horror films, and then it was this one. So I don't know. Is it one and the same or different?
it was this my same boss, and he was just like diversifying the kinds of movies he was making.
Mm.
So horror was doing well. We made a mummy movie, we made a vampire movie, we made a mummy versus Frankenstein movie. Like, super cool stuff. I went to New Mexico to supervise this mummy movie in a turquoise mine as a like tomb. It was cool. And then the Christmas dog one we did in Arizona, and it's the three Dogateers Save Christmas, and it's these three little fluffy dogs work with Santa to save Christmas.
Okay, so and now is that out in YouTube or how do
That's
we
on,
see
like,
the?
all of our, I guess everything just modernized over to like streaming. So everything, this whole big catalog of weird movies that I made and that Christmas one is on Tubi now. I think
Is
that's
on
great.
Tubi now. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, because I think what we'll do is once this goes into post, you know, this is our video portion of it, and I make all of my podcasts into audio too, and
Oh,
then under show notes, I'll make sure that we we send that over because I'm going to watch that today. Now that I understand because I looked around for it and I couldn't see it yesterday, and so I
yeah.
said I'm going to ask him about that because if I'd have known about it, I would have watched some of these beforehand and
It's
seen what you done.
it's kind of, again, this is like the indie version of a movie. So be kind. But it's also this, very much this industry. It's a small group of people going out to Arizona 3 times for 2 weeks at a time to shoot a bunch of dogs in very small sections of their action. Because the thing they tell you not to do movies with is animals and babies, and we did a bunch of animals in this one. So the idea of we're gonna be able to bang it out in one shot was like not even a thought process kind of thing. We needed that time with the dogs to learn new beats to then help us save time by filming. You know, it's like,
Mhm.
it's this whole funny process. But basically, it's like me and some other people like holding the dogs very kindly off camera, or like our hands are off camera, like, or they're sitting in the frame. They're adorable little dogs.
Yeah.
We had a blast.
Well, there's two things about it, right? I'm a dog fanatic. I'd rather hang out with dogs than people.
Hmm.
And and Christmas. They're two of my favorite things. So I said I'm going to go check that out. I'm going to go see what that's about. So, but right, it's all that. Just like this, just like when I took up podcasting, if you go listen to number one, it's a lot different than it is
Hmm.
today. as
Totally.
as things progress, your comfort level on a mic and everything else becomes different. So, but it seems like you like the back end of things. Is that correct? The creative side of things, whether it's
Um,
producing and directing and stuff like that. And have you been on camera?
I mean, I've been on camera reluctantly.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the bottom PA assistant that's like, "Oh, and now go be the homeless guy in the back of the shot, Now go, do a quick cross, So it's like,
Yeah.
have I been in front of camera? Yes. Willingly, not every time. And I definitely like the creating. For so long I was a part of the actual filming part of it, so the executing part, and just like dreaming of the part that's before that, and before that, where it's just like all the planning stuff, and where the script gets built and you're like, this is the plan, and then the director gets that and goes, okay, now I have my plan on how I'm going to
Mm.
pull off your plan. And then you get like everyone's heads together and you're like, okay, does everybody buy into this plan, or is there a better idea in there to make this plan the best that it could be? And then you go and do the part that I did for so long, where you just show up and make it.
Right.
So for so long, just like seeing what it takes to go from the page to the screen. And I was very lucky to be on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for basically the whole run of it, 7 seasons. I came in at the end of season one and kind of stayed with them on and off for the rest of their run, and just got to see a crazy action ensemble cast show and how that's made every day as my job. So kind of was like free school.
Yeah. Well, right. That's like anything else, right? It's right. There's textbooks. There's like forms in martial arts, and then there's fighting. So there's what you learn, the static learning, and then the reality of what's about to come down and the experiences that you get. So I think there's definitely a correlation between the two for sure.
Mhm.
100%. That's now. Is there anybody that you've come across that you've got to work with more on a recognizable level that you've enjoyed? Is there somebody out there that, uh,
Um,
actors wise or on any of your sets?
Actors, I've discovered a new love for actors in this profession, because they're the featured they're the featured thing in any of these products, right? They're the face. So without them, like a lot of like some of these shows don't exist without them. Like that's how they get greenlit, is their this face, this person, there's this resume. So
Mm-hmm.
I within that there's a lot of stress and weight to that. So like really being a part of the AD department, and you're involved in catching the actors in the morning, making sure they got their breakfast, making sure they're getting ready. So you spend a lot of time with these people, and you kind of get to see them throughout, kind of experience their stress throughout the day, because your stress. And
Mm-hmm.
just these guys feel a lot of pressure every day to perform, and they literally are performing for everyone, the crew, the cameras, and then eventually the audience. So
Yeah.
I have such a respect for these guys that come in and just do their homework, learn crap ton of lines the night before the pages changed. They're such pros, and I mean, I've fallen in love with so many of them as professionals. It would just be mean to name one and not all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's true, right? I guess that's definitely a true statement. I've been on I've been on some sets, you know what I mean, for sure.
Mhm.
I've known some
We had a
really
Power
good.
Ranger in my karate class.
Yes, that was Blake Foster.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so you can go back and look at my podcast. I did one with Blake, and you can see him. He just did a professional fight, and um, his first professional fight to the Red Power Ranger. It was blue against red, and
Oh.
he smoked him, like smoked him. And you can see his serious transformation. But yeah, so if you go back and look at Blake Foster, you can look him up on that for sure. Yes, that's definitely the Power Ranger. I think Edon Gross used to be around in those days too. He was that child actor that was on Best of the Best and did all that. He was in the school all the time when you were there
Yeah.
too. And so yeah, we had a couple of them, kids that definitely did did martial arts for sure. Uh, and I think you'd remember him as Casey Coleman when he was there, and Justin Reese.
Mhm.
You were there at those times too, but his
Good.
sister is the blonde on Facts of Life. You know what I mean? So we had all that, and I've been on set. They would hire me, especially for Edon, to go on set and do security, and it was a little bit different back in those days. I mean, you had to kind of watch the kid actors. You know what I mean? They'd work them to death back in the day,
Mhm.
and trying to keep them safe online and stuff like that. So yeah, I've had a little bit of this and that on set. It's always kind of intrigued me. I think that's why I've always enjoyed kind of the podcasting. I do all the video editing for black belt testings and stuff like that. Now that back in your day, I don't think I wasn't doing videos of the black belt team. It's a little bit different. I believe that you were probably just in front of a panel back in those days, and
Mhm.
you had a black belt test that you had to do and stuff. Now it's a big production. It's a 6-month time frame. You got to go through pre-test, and I film all this stuff, and then on black belt testing day, I edit a video, and you can go back and look at them. I don't know how far back it goes, but um, you know, the years and years I've done that, and that's what's got me into the creative side. So, using well, I started at iMovie, and then okay, it's Final Cut Pro, and I've become,
Mhm.
pretty proficient in doing that because I'm the one that did it all. That's right. That's what it is. I guess when you're doing creative stuff like yourself, I know what I want to see in the martial arts, and I've learned how to film what I want and not have a
Mhm.
bunch of extra garbage.
Yeah.
And so I've enjoyed that. So I've always kind of been intrigued in that industry as it is. And I don't know if I really want to dabble into it for sure, but yeah, it's definitely one of those anybody that's into it too. I see it, they're all feast or famine unless they're super, you know. And then I don't know if you know this, but we have the one director that's here, Myron. He's another black belt of mine. That's the keyboard player for Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Mhm.
And so I've got to see the music side of production and stuff like that. And it's not a glamorous life either in the back room. Trust me, before they go on stage,
Right.
it is a lot of hard work. So well, let's talk about what you're doing now for yourself. I mean, this is what intrigued me to call you to get online with me, so we can put some more stuff out there for you to raise some money. So, I think you've told me you've tried before, and now you're back at doing something that's your production, something that you're putting together. Let's talk about what that is and what that looks like.
Yeah. This time is kind of my first time leading my own project. So before I was producing somebody else, finding material that I believed in and kind of helping them execute it. And now it's kind of building the plan, the most ideal plan to set the shooting part up for success, and having full control and kind of being able to step back and say what is the one project that you want to kind of shoot your shot with and kind of show that you have these abilities, and kind of help create something that will help me level up out of this assistant world that I'm in. That's taught me a lot, but I'm kind of ready to kind of do my own, to kind of take a stab, do a little dive, do a little jump.
It's great. So, what is it? what is it you're doing? What's your project called,
Okay.
and what's it about? Let's talk about that.
So the working title right now is um, Surviving the Big One with Notes from Mom. And it's this concept of we're in the future, there's some kind of global crisis, and a mom is running out of time to pass on all this knowledge to her kids before she dies of this tragedy. And so she has a survival book that's kind of helped her. And so she's just filling the margins up with anything she can think of, recipes, advice, knowledge about this catastrophe that's happening, and just trying to cram it full of everything she can. And at the same time, we follow the kids a little bit further along, and you would do a little time jump with the kids while we see mom just writing. We kind of see the kids living this survivalist rural life, and kind of following the rules and everything of the book. And then two kind of strangers trespass onto their property, and they kind of go into survivalist mode, like protector, defenders mode. So it's kind of drawing that line between, it's playing the line of family and survival, and what is a family,
Mm-hmm.
is anyone's definition of family more right than anybody else's? Does it even matter? Or once you all can look at each other and say we're a family, and we'll do what it takes to protect each other and to uh, you know carry on and continue the way of life as
So,
best as possible.
does that mean that did you write this yourself then?
Mhm.
So you've written this, and now you're ready to produce this. So you're looking for people to be part of it. You're looking for funding now. That's
Mhm.
the next part of this, correct?
We did
So
we did the blueprint of the script based on like everything that I've learned along the way. Basically, what's the best, cheapest, most efficient? Because cheapest does not always mean good. So where can you cut
true.
corners and where can you not, and where shouldn't you?
Right.
So it's kind of built this one location short film that doesn't travel a lot of time. There's not like a lot of makeup changes, there's not a lot of outfit changes. You're just trying to maximize everything that you can to save money while showcasing the story that has a lot of heart at the
Mm-hmm.
same time. So you're trying to do both. I'm trying to maximize the business and the story at the same time, and showing off that I can do both is the
So
goal.
what's the time frame of this? Is this like a one of these mini type films
It'll
that
be a
you go
short film.
showcase? A short film.
It's gonna play probably less than 15 minutes. It's um it's a beginning, middle, end of a nice little story, but it also services as a proof of concept for a greater story. Or
Mm-hmm.
this could be the opening of this bigger story and continue on telling it. So it's kind of twofold in that sense, that we're trying to tell a good story and then trying to see if it can have a life, uh, if it can have a life as a short film in a festival, or if it can have a life as another iteration of itself, whether it's a series or a movie. It's showing off a concept and then showing off a story and proving that it's strong enough to do well as itself and then do well as something else.
So that's interesting to me. So this stuff's new to me. So can you produce something that's a short film, and then it can take off, it can have legs, and somebody else can expand on it,
Yeah,
or
there's no
yourself?
like one path to
Uh,
writing or to any of these kind of weird things. There's kind of like you can start on a path and then like go over here, and then you can still get to this place you want to, and there's no true one road in the sense. So
mm,
we can make the short film. It can have film festival run, and somebody could like it in that chain, and they could say, "Hey, what else do you have?" Or what else could this be? and that could help us get somewhere else with this, and that would help me, level up to be seen as something that I haven't done yet. And then that same thing could happen in we could just put on YouTube, or people have a lot
Right.
of success. You can build a fandom and have the success come after the fandom. There's so many weird ways to get studios and like, I guess, green light people's attention. Like they love books. Did your idea start off as a book? They love that.
Mhm.
Does it already have a following? Does it have a social media presence? They love that. And it's like, do I fulfill any of those things? No. So it's just like trying to set this project up to be the best thing. If somebody can only see one thing of mine, then I want it to be this. And then I think that this gives me the best shot at growing and doing more of this.
Yeah, that's super interesting to me. I've not, I've seen these, and that I know that there's another person that I had uh, my nephew that passed away 2 years ago, a firefighter, and he is featured in one of these small films that got some quite a bit of acclamations to it
Mhm.
anyway. But so I'd never known it. But you said something else in here. You said, you're like, hey, you were jokingly saying, "Be kind." These are indie. What's an indie film? What does that mean?
I think at the most basic level, it just means money. How much money
Okay.
is it? The money definition helps you kind of understand all the parameters of that. It's not necessarily a big studio movie with a lot of money behind it.
Hmm.
Most of the time, it's like a passion project for somebody, like a director, a well-known director, or a well-known actor, and they kind of get the wheels turning of these projects, and they get these smaller projects going. And
I
so
see.
anything on a smaller budget just falls under this indie space, or anything that's not tied to a major studio or network could also be considered indie, but that would also just could just be quantified on money too.
Yes. So that's yeah. Because I listened. I heard that term, and so this, yeah, that I guess that has more to do with budgeting than what else it is. So so where does your expert lie now? What do you have to get for yourself now, Lisandro? So you've kind of come up with this idea. Are you filming yourself? Do you go look for people that's going to help you do the filming part? Do you have people that do the editing part?
I
You do a
have
one-man show? What does that look like?
I have built a core team, as far as kind of like my best friends, collaborators for years now, and it's kind of like when I was thinking of like, okay, if I get my one shot, who's to my right and who's to my left, and it's my longtime writing partner and creative collaborator Tyler Hampong and Jamie Miller. And they kind of have their own production company, and they kind of focus on shooting smaller projects for people.
Mm,
Um, so they and they're also actors. So it's this village mentality, and how can we support each other on every project that we do, and not every time do we get to shine in each other's projects, because
I
sometimes you're doing the heavy lifting, and sometimes you're not, and it's kind of like a rotation village scenario where it's like we're collectively creating things to help each other grow. And for me, maybe not every time do I get to do the job that I want to, but every once in a while you do.
Yes. So what is your so tell me the goal between what you're doing here then. So you're this stuff intrigues me, okay? Cuz you're a lot of things go back to when even myself, I wanted to have this martial arts school. I was just a machinist back in the day, and I was cleaning pools when I opened up the
Mhm.
studio. You know what I mean? And I knew that I had to be creative and to keep something like this open and make it become a business and stuff like that. So it intrigues me to listen to your story on how you have this vision, right? And now you're trying to it correlates so much with martial arts anyway,
Totally.
and the ups and downs and the beatings that you take in the whether it's uh, on a daily or the beatings you're taking in a ring. It just doesn't matter. It's the same thing, and how you
Mhm.
come out of it, and what do you learn from the negatives from it to further what you want to see. So when you're doing this, what's your ultimate goal? Is you want to see this thing come to life, and are you looking? Is this a uh, to hope to get to a next level, or this is a message you want to get out? Um,
I think it's a little bit of. I think it's hard because I'm quantifying it as like my if I'm gonna get one if I get one, this is my one, at this
mhm,
level to kind of prove myself and to sharpen my teeth on it. So it's like I want this. I want to prove that I can tell a story, that I could support it visually as a director, with all take the audience on this cool roller coaster, prove myself as these two new professions that I don't have under my belt as professions, writer, director, and then kind of take it and show, hey, I did it on this level. I took this much money and made it look like this much money. Let trust me with your money,
mhm,
on
yeah,
the next one. And that's what these all kind of are. It's like you were saying, that you're getting better at your microphone skills. You're upgrading your microphone, your tech, like everything kind of levels up along the way. And at one point you're just like, it's happening and we're doing it.
mhm. Well, I think that that's why I think it's super intrigues me listening to what you're doing. I because when I first started even the podcasting, believe it or not, I started podcasting just so I can have a legacy. So something happens to me where people are able to my kids are able to go back and say, this is my dad, and this is what he spoke about, this is what he believed in, this is what how he did life. And that's what it really started out is. And then when I went on this journey, when I had lost a lot of weight, and people started asking questions on how I did it, or how did I get into having to be how do you teach self-discipline and then have to lose 100 pounds? I mean, it just doesn't correlate, right? And how to get my story out there to help. And this is kind of where I started. And so yeah, I'm super well. First of all, being seeing that you're one of my black belts on top of it, out getting after it. You know what I mean? And it's like a fight, man. You're in the ring and you're getting pounded, and some rounds are going to be good, and some rounds aren't going to be so good, and you're trying to achieve this goal. And I personally want to do something to try and help further that. So I'm just super intrigued. That's why I'm asking all these questions, because I just don't. I know that I just didn't. I didn't have nothing. I had my iPhone and this, and then as things continue to grow,
Yeah.
and my audience grows, then I have, I've probably done just what you've done. I've upgraded equipment to make things look a little more professional. I've got a coach, you know what I mean? I went and got a
Mhm.
podcasting coach to help me,
Yeah.
you know, know how to interview better, and how not to go, you know what I mean? And so when I listen to myself after I'm done, I'm like, I'm taking notes going, what are you doing, bro? And, so that's just, it's super intriguing. And I think it's awesome that, you want to, uh, you know, not many people do what you're going to do, man. It's sink or swim, man. And even when you sink, okay, the lessons learned from
Yeah.
the lessons learned from my losses way outweigh the lessons learned from my wins. I can tell you that.
Mhm.
And so you've probably had plenty of those, and this is where you're ready to jump to the next level. So what is it that you need now? What is it that you've set up that your goal is that's going to help you see this through? So you have a funding page set up, correct?
Mhm.
What kind of money does it take for this to happen? What does it look at?
The what So it takes a lot of money. And it literally takes a village. And the other part that we try to not do is be, greedy of just asking for a lot of money and just padding every, like, we're this money is going to help us pull this off, but this money still has us wearing a lot of hats and doing a lot of things ourselves. And keeping our crew small still helps us and helps us keep our location fees down and all of that. So it's it's really a balance of what what really is essential to pull off these beats and these moments that you want to show and feature, and then what, what is the fat, what can you cut out before you, like you're saying, what can we cut out before you shoot it, before you even record it, like
Hmm.
what stuff can you get rid of, like let's save time, let's not even do that.
Right.
Like
I
the
think that's.
stronger plan you have up front, the less, you know, there is there is like a beautiful magic to finding something in post. You're like a moment that wasn't expected, or building something new that wasn't scripted. But it's so much safer to have that plan going into it and then discovering something new on top of it versus trying to discover something in post. The plan is just it just sets you up for more success all around. Um, Knowing what you need, knowing what you could want, and knowing what is a want, and kind of
Mhm.
prioritizing it that way.
So, so I'm sure, like you said, it takes a village. So I'm sure you have people that, just like I do. I mean, I've had the same. I mean, you remember Nathan Carlin? He's still with me, and I've always had my core people that have just kind of stuck with me, building this thing. And so, I get that. So, what kind of money?
Oh, sorry, I didn't answer the money part.
Yeah, what kind of
Um,
money does it take? I mean, what are you looking at? You got a GoFundMe page now, so.
mhm. So our goal on this page it'll help us get completely through post. Like we're not gonna do it, ask again for money to get us
Mhm.
through post. Like this gets us through filming all the way through to delivering our music, everything for our film. Could it be done for more money? Of course.
Uh-huh.
We're pulling favors. We have friends and family discounts all over the place. People are volunteering their time to help with a lot of remote things that they can help with. But our tangible number that we're shooting for is 16,000. The last
Mhm.
time I looked, we were at 13,000,
Uh-huh.
and it's literally every day I go like, is this my life? I'm just like, is this my life? People are just people are trusting me with their money, and money's tight right now for a lot of people, and this was probably like the worst time to find the courage to launch my dreams. But it's I don't feel like anyone should feel like they have to take a financial hit to help me out. Like any sharing
Mm.
this story, helping an artist even helps me, because then it's staying in the artist family. I it's kind of something that we're ingrained in with karate. It's like if you can help somebody. If you can't help somebody, try anyways. It's like it's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be money. It can be sharing the campaign. It can be like doing a like. All the eyeballs help. Like every little thing helps. A thumbs up, that all helps.
Yes,
Like you're
I
saying,
agree
like
with
one
that.
day
So
when
I
it's like,
will, yeah, you'll definitely see from me because I'm going to invest in you. I'm going to invest in it today, and so
thank you very much.
I'm looking forward to it. You know what I mean? I want to see it. I want to see it through. You know what I mean? I want to see you get to your goal and pass. So, I'll encourage my audience to, hey man, let's pitch in for one of our black belts,
I
man,
appreciate it.
and because every 10 15 20 $100 is all
Yeah.
goes to to you know to further somebody else's dream. People invested in me, Lisandro. um I had this, and I was told many times that I wouldn't make this thing happen. You know what I mean? I was told, I can't tell you how many countless times I was told that it's hard to have a studio. you know um I never went to college, really. I did some college wasn't my thing.
Mhm.
And you know I'm a pretty hardcore type of dude, and that was just told that it's not gonna. And I said, not only am I gonna make it happen, they will come to me for advice, trust me.
Yeah.
And that's what I made um my life's mission. And when I tried to pay that back too, from when I could help others. see through their, what their goals and dreams are, then I wanted to do the same thing. So, it's obvious that if you've raised the kind of money you have already, it's obvious that you've already interjected yourself into other people's lives. Okay. And they see something in you that is worth investing in. And I know you, and I know your family, and then not to mention that you came from a different country here to live, right? And your parents brought you here when you were a young man. You were only 5, I think, when you came here, correct?
Yeah.
And it's it's definitely a worthy goal. I think that I just want to see you fulfill it. I can't wait to see when it's done, right? And we're going to come back and look at this, and then I think the next thing I'd like to see is have you get it done, right? You knock this thing out of the park, and then we talk about the ups and downs of what it was like to make it. You know what I mean? And now it's done, and we can look back on this on today and go, remember we talked about this, and now here it is to come to fruition. And I'm not Joe Rogan by any means, but I know that I have a lot of black belts that listen to my stuff, and old black belts that will come together and support each other from the studio. It's the way the studio is. It's the way it's always been built, and they're going to remember you. Every time I do this from back in the 90s when you guys were training, I get a lot of comments going back. Oh my gosh, I remember Lisandro. I remember, getting a black belt is one thing. It's just in your life that you're not going to forget. It's not an easy thing, and not everybody does it. And guess what? Producing a film of your own is not an easy thing, and not everybody does it. So it doesn't surprise me that somebody that could take their love for music, and get full ride scholarships, go do and listen to your little story here, right? You played the clarinet, right? And then you need to be a tuba so you can go do something. You're like, okay, I'm just going to learn what I need to learn on that, and then off I go. And then from there, somebody recognizes you're from there, and you get a full ride scholarship, and then you come back and you're just doing this. So when we live life, I believe we're so in the middle of it, we don't really see the blessings and the fortitude that we had as we forged through what we want to do. Because we never. Here's the thing I know, asking all my students all the time. If I asked them a negative thing about themselves, they can fire off everything to me. I probably up to 10 things. I don't do this well. I don't do that well. When I ask them, what is it you've forged? What is it you've driven through? What is it you've done in life that's good? Tell me something good about you? And they just can't do it. Right. They give, well, I'm kind of, I'm nice. What, so, and you have that spirit about you. I can see it. Hey, you had it as a young guy. You still have it today. You have this humble type spirit about yourself. This is probably why people kind of gravitate towards you. So I know that you're going to get whatever this goal is that you're going to get. And I can't, I'm super stoked that I was able to reach out to you when you just kind of called me out of the blue. I think you sent me something, right? And said, so obviously
I'm trying to do a thing.
yeah, right. Mr. Cox, I'm trying to do this. You think you can jump in, and of course I'm going to jump in with both feet. You know what I mean? And I'm going to support you both financially and on this cast, and we'll see what we can do. I'll guarantee you that we're going to come back here and we're going to have some smiles on our face and say, okay, man, I did it. Whether it's what you envisioned or not envisioned, I think it's going to come to fruition. And I think, you take your martial arts training. We talk about perseverance and self-discipline on a daily, and it takes all that to do this. So, and I think that you're going to do awesome. I think it's pretty proud of you to be honest with you. I think that's going to be, it's good to see. It's good to see you guys become men of your own and off doing the dreams that you wanted to do, because that's what I do. This was my martial arts school was a dream. I had the goal. You weren't even in my goal yet. I had the I used to be in the machine shop, and I used to have my goals on my machine, and I was like, I am going to have a school one day, and I'm going to have 100 black belts. And I just thought 100 black belts. There's no way.
Hmm.
What? But I said, I'm just going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to put my head down and do it. And then you were number 63, and before we knew it, we had 100. In a bigger school, and we're moving on. So, and the same thing happened to me. Just so you know, I just happened to get into people that wanted to invest in me, and one of them is a mentor that didn't even know me. Just so you know, when I first opened the studio, I thought in 6 months I'm going to close this thing down because I just don't know business of it. And I saw him in Black Belt magazine. His name's Terry Brumley, and he said, you find a way to get your ticket here, and you stay at my house, and you stay here for a week, and I want to teach you how to run a martial arts school." And he's the one that turned my life around, and we are still mentors and friends today. So, you know, keep on going and doing what you do. You know, and I think I'm going to let you have the last words. So, tell me, whether it's your martial arts or whether it's your business here, what you're doing now. Um, why don't you tell the other ones how you keep pressing forward to get to your goals? What is it you think about to get to where you want to be?
Um, I think that it's it took me a long time to kind of not worry about the no's. Like, people are
Mhm.
gonna say no, and to not be scared to let them say no, because for a long time I was saying no for them, and a lot of people might say yes. And if you don't ask them and you just say no, everyone's gonna say no, then you've already lost. Like, you're battling yourself at that point. Like, take a chance on yourself and let other people maybe take a chance too.
Yeah.
Like, give yourself a chance.
Yeah, I think that is awesome advice. By the way, on what you talked about there, the uh, not to let the nose because you're going to get plenty of those.
Yeah,
Okay, I mean, they're
that's
all
built in.
they're all day. Listen, I was told, I'm never going to do this. I cannot a countless amount of times, and a lot of times, I don't know if you've experienced this. A lot of times, the one that loves us the most are the most critical of what we do because
Mhm.
they feel like we're going to get hurt in the process. So they're going to give you, some negativity, and you just have to, forge past that. So I think that's super advice that you gave down there. So what I need from you though, Lisandro, is when
Mhm.
I think no, you know what, you already did it in your show notes. I have your GoFundMe
Okay.
account, and then I want to see. I'm going to share that with everybody, and uh, this will be in audio. And so once I give you the link, so you can share this link once we're done now,
Okay.
but for the video portion of it, but I'll send you a link also where it's audio. So I don't know if I'm sure your folks will come back and listen to this
Yeah.
and listen to you and I, but um, share it across your platforms and tell them to share it. And I think that you know I'll do my little part into how get this goal of yours met, and look forward to the end product. I can't wait till you send something and said, okay, man, it's getting
Right.
released, and this is what it's going to be. All right.
I I appreciate the support so much. It's 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 weird. It's really a family. Like, karate, like, people, even though, like, we don't see each other all the time or whatever, or talk to each other all the time, it's like, if I run into somebody in Chatsworth when I'm visiting my parents, it's like time has not passed, you know?
Right. That's I guess that's true. Yeah, you're right about the martial arts school. The mat is a beautiful thing. Uh it doesn't see political views, it doesn't see race, it doesn't see a lot of things. What it sees is people trying to come together to get a goal together. And trust me, I mean, everybody knows that where I stand as far as political stuff goes, but that doesn't mean I have any feelings against anybody else's stuff. You get on that mat, I'm going to teach you how to defend yourself and how to
Mhm.
be a better person, and I've learned how to do all that from all my students. And so the mat is a beautiful equalizer, and it doesn't lie to you, and it doesn't care about your feelings. at
Mhm.
all, right? It's gonna expose your weaknesses, and it's going to exploit them, and it's going to show your strengths. And so I think that's the lessons you take from that, and I think you're going to do well, Lisandro. I'm super proud of you, man. I'm looking
Thank you.
forward to this. Okay.
All right.
All right.
We'll post pictures. We'll keep you everybody in the loop.
Sounds good, man. I'm going to
All
end
right.
this
Thank you so
broadcast,
much,
man. Have
everybody.
a good day. Bye
Take it
bye.
easy.